देखो जिंदगी यूरोस आके होते हैं.
You have another one? Only one? Only this?
ये वाला सारा एक पड़ा रहेगा.
Or can you make a adjust this height? A little bit. Yeah.
ये वाला नीचे वाला.
नहीं ये इसके नहीं है.
यहाँ से और
बस इतना ही है.
कितना ही है.
ठीक है ना. और क्या करें और क्या करें और.
Okay. That's the maximum, huh?
I sit here. Focus.
Okay.
Camera.
You, huh? Okay, very good. You are the hero, huh? Mashallah. So do you memorize all the rhymes?
Yeah.
All the rhymes?
All right.
Okay.
Just
try
camera.
your rhyme. Scene number 3. Rhyme, please. Now. Scene number 3. Let's his brother.
बाबा से बुलंद मोहम्मदी सलावत. अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद. बरादरान से गुजारिश है शब शहादत और शब कद्र की अहमियत को सामने रखते हुए उसी तरह से प्रोग्राम का बाकायदा आगाज करते हैं. कुरान की तिलावत के लिए आई विल इनवाइट आवर यूसुफी. वी विल रिसाइट सूरह अनकबूत और उस सूरह अनकबूत के पहले 9 आयत जो है तिलावत करेंगे. जो बरादरान अपने मोबाइल से ये कुरान से देखना चाहें तो साथ साथ पढ़ सकते हैं. आगा प्लीज. बाबा से बुलंद सलावत.
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل.
سورة Ankabut, one of the surah which recommended to recite tonight. And this is in this Quran. This type of Quran is in page number 396. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل. Inshallah, prepare yourself to belong to Imam, because this is a special time. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولن تنسوا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين
أم حسب الذين يعملون السيئات أن يسبقونا ساء ما يحكمون من كان يرجو لقاء الله من كان يرجو لقاء الله فإن أجل الله لآت وهو السميع العليم ومن جاهد فإنما يجاهد لنفسه إن الله لغني عن العالمين والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لنكفرن عنهم سيئاتهم ولنجزينهم أحسن الذي كانوا يعملون ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حسنا وإن جاهداك لتشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لندخلنهم في الصالحين صدق الله العلي العظيم. تقديم روح پرفتوح مولا علی علیه السلام.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل
اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وآله الأطهار.
सोज़ो सलाम में पहले बुलाने से पहले हमजा भाई को छोटे से बुलेट्स पॉइंट लिखे थे वसीयतनामा इमाम अली अलैहिस्सलाम। मैं चाहता था आप लोगों से शेयर करूं और चूंकि ये बुलेट पॉइंट्स हैं और सिर्फ छोटे छोटे जुमले हैं तो हर जुमले पे आप کمپیئر کر سکتے ہیں اپنی لائف کے ساتھ کہ ان کی وصیت کو ہم کتنا اڈاپٹ کر رہے ہیں. پہلا سینٹینس تھا کہ میں تم سب کو تا دم مرگ تقوی الہی پر باقی رہنے کی وصیت کرتا ہوں. امام حسن کو فرمایا تھا انہوں نے. اور اس کے بعد فرمایا آپس میں اتفاق اور اتحاد سے رہنا اور تفرقہ سے پرہیز کرنا، رشتہ داروں اور دوستوں کے ساتھ صلح رحمی کرنا، میرے بعد یتیموں کو بھوکا اور لاوارث مت چھوڑنا. ہر پوائنٹ کو آپ اپنی لائف کے ساتھ جوڑتے جائیں. اور اب یہ پوائنٹ بہت زیادہ امپورٹنٹ ہے، قرآن سے جڑے رہنا. کہیں ایسا نہ ہو کہ غیر تم سے سبقت دے جائے. اور ہم اپنی اہل تشیع کمیونٹی میں اس پوائنٹ کو دیکھ سکتے ہیں کہ کتنا ہم زیادہ قرآن کے ساتھ جڑے ہیں اور غیر کتنے ہم سے زیادہ سبقت لے جا چکے ہیں. مسجدوں کو خالی مت چھوڑنا ورنہ اللہ تم پر ظالموں کو مسلط کر دے گا. اب پوائنٹ یہ ہے کہ مسجد اور ظالم حکمران کیسے دو پوائنٹس جو ہے اولا نے ملائے ہیں. مسجدیں ایک ایسا قلعہ ہے جو کہ آپ کی پوری اسٹیٹ کی حفاظت کرتی ہے، تو مسجدوں کو خالی نہ چھوڑنا تاکہ ظالم تم پر مسلط نہ کر دے جائیں. آگے ہے نماز کو ترک نہ کرنا کہ یہ تمہارے دین کا پایہ ہے. کعبۃ اللہ کا احترام کرنا اور حج کبھی نہ روکنا. امر بالمعروف اور نہی عن المنکر سے گریز نہ کرنا. ذریت پیغمبر صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم کا خیال رکھنا ورنہ اللہ کا قہر پڑے گا. فقیروں اور تنگ دستوں کو اپنی زندگی میں شامل رکھنا. اللہ کی رضا کے لیے کوشش کرتے رہنا اور لوگوں کی باتوں پر کان مت دھرنا. دوسروں کے غلام بن کر مت جینا. ایسا پوائنٹ کہ آپ اس پوائنٹ پہ غور کریں ہم کس طرح سے، کیونکہ اللہ نے تمہیں آزاد پیدا کیا. آگے خود حضرت علی وضاحت کرتے ہیں کہ دوسروں کے غلام مت بننا کیونکہ اللہ نے تمہیں آزاد پیدا کیا. اور آخری پوائنٹ، اگر تمہارے پاس اقتدار آ جائے. اب ایک پوائنٹ ہے کہ اقتدار کی کرسی یعنی سیاسی کرسی آ جائے یا پھر کوئی بھی رسپانسبلٹی آ جائے جس میں تمہارے اندر تمہارے محکم لوگ ہوں تو لوگوں پر ظلم مت کرنا ورنہ تباہی سے بچنے کا ٹھکانہ نہیں ملے گا. اور آخری پوائنٹ ہے جو میرے قاتل سے اگر میرا قصاص لو تو اس پر صرف ایک ہی ضرب لگانا، اس سے زیادہ ضرب نہ لگانا کہ جتنی اس نے میرے اوپر لگائی. میں ملتمس ہوں برادر حمزہ زیدی سے کہ وہ اسٹیج پر آئیں اور سلام پڑھیں. آواز بلند صلوات.
محمد عجل فرجهم
محمد وآل محمد صلی
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
کچھ اشعار آپ لوگوں کی خدمت میں ہیں. ایک دفعہ محمد وآل محمد پر بلند تر صلوات پڑھیں.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے، محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے، وہ نبیوں میں رحمت لقب پانے والے، محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے، محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے. جب آئے زمین پر محمد ہمارے، فلک نے زمین پر بچھائے ستارے، اٹھے سرزمین عرب سے یہ نعرے، محمد سب مل کے ساتھ بڑی شان والے، سب مل کے پڑھیں گے. محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے، بدن نور جن کا ہے دل نور جن کا، زبان نور جن کی عمل نور جن کا، یہ خاکی بنائیں گے کیا ان کے خاکے، محمد ہمارے بڑے بڑی شان والے محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے. سن 61 میں بھی ایک فتنہ اٹھا تھا، رسالت کی توہین جو کر رہا تھا. اٹھے تب یہ کہہ کر 72 جیالے محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے. وہ نبیوں میں رحمت لقب پانے والے محمد ہمارے بڑی شان والے. درود پڑھیں محمد والے
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم.
علی کی شان میں اور ان کے غلاموں کے حوالے سے ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. دیکھ کر میسا مسلمان کو کہتی ہے نظر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. وقت پر وقت کی رفتار بدل دیتے ہیں، فطرت خنجر و تلوار بدل دیتے ہیں. دار پر لہجہ گفتار بدل دیتے ہیں، زیر خنجر بھی صدا دیتے ہیں حیدر حیدر. ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. تم نے مولا کی محبت کا نظارہ دیکھا، لشکر کفر زیادہ تھا مگر ہار گیا. چند افراد نے لبنان کا نقشہ بدلا، بھاگنے والے ذرا دیکھ تو پیچھے مڑ کر. ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. مصلحت جھوٹ ریاکاری خیانت دھوکا، خود نمائی بھی دکھاوا بھی سرے فرش عزا. اور پھر ہو پہ علی کا بھی تکلم دعویٰ، کیا بتائیں گے اگر پوچھیں گے مولا کر. ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. تیغ سے پین میں جب مالک اشتر کی چلی، بھاگنے والوں سے میدان میں بھگدڑ سی مچی. سر کٹے جسم کٹے ہاتھ کٹے سانس کٹی، داد مالک کو دی عباس نے خود یہ کہہ کر. ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر. یہ آخری شعر جو ہے وہ آج کے دور کے شہداء جو ان کے نام. ایک دفعہ درود پڑھیں محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم.
ہے رہے حق کے وفادار شہیدوں کو سلام، کربلا جن کا بسیرا ہے نجف میں ہے قیام، جذبہ شوق شہادت میں ہے پایا یہ مقام، کہہ کے یہ ان کو لگاتے ہیں گلے پیغمبر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر، ایسے ہوتے ہیں علی کے نوکر۔
خوشیوں کے امام زمانہ علیہ السلام بلند تر صلوات۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد۔
محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجهم۔
رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر، رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر، کیا یاد علی کو آیا ہے بازار شام مسلح پر، رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر، خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے، خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے، کس طرح حسن نے رو رو کر کی فجر تمام مسلح پر، رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر، کیا ماں کی طرح لینے تم کو مسجد میں چلی آئے زینب، کیا ماں کی طرح لینے تم کو مسجد میں چلی آئے زینب، بابا کو جا کر دو فضا میرا پیغام مسلح پر، رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر، زخمی پہلو جب یاد آیا زخمی پیشانی بھول گیا، زخمی پہلو جب یاد آیا زخمی پیشانی بھول گیا، زغرا کی مصیبت پر رویا مظلوم امام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر دیوار کعبہ بیٹھ گئی الحمد لہو میں ڈوب گئی دیوار کعبہ بیٹھ گئی الحمد لہو میں ڈوب گئی امت سے ملا ہے مولا کو کیسا انعام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر اس غیرت دار کی غربت پر روتی ہے علی کی غربت بھی اس غیرت دار کی غربت پر روتی ہے علی کی غربت بھی 40 برس جو کہتا رہا شام شام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر کیا یاد علی کو آیا ہے بازار شام مسلح پر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ
ماشاء اللہ خدا آپ کا گریہ اپنی بارگاہ میں قبول منظور فرمائے. I have one quote from Rahbar. He quoted about the title Who is Imam Ali? He said that Imam Ali is a role model for those who want to achieve success and overcome obstacles in his life. The story of Imam teaches us to strive for excellence, to never give up despite facing challenges, and to maintain a positive outlook in difficult situations. Though his example, we can learn to live a life free of constraints and limitations and pursue our dreams with the dedication and perseverance. I would like to invite our Sheikh Ahmadi to come on stage and discuss the matter of today night, inshallah. بآواز بلند محمدی صلوات اللہم صل علی محمد بآواز
محمد وآل محمد بلند تر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وأما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن الناس من يشتري نفسه ابتغاء مرضات الله والله رؤوف بالعباد. And among the people are those who sell their soul in seekness of the pleasure of their Lord, and their Lord, it is the most kind upon his servants. First and most of all, Jami'an, Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your great deeds and a'mal, especially your fasting, your recitation of the Quran, all of your public work, volunteer work, all of your iftaris, and inshallah all of your good deeds and akhlaq during the month of Ramadan. And inshallah Allah gives every single one of us the tawfiq and the bounty to be able to maximize our gains and inshallah profits in this few nights of Qadr as we are approaching the night of 23rd by reciting aloud salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
It is the night of Shahada of Mawla al-Mawali, Ameer al Momineen ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wa salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
My sincere and deepest condolences to every single one of you, and inshallah we can express our sincere condolences and tasliyah to the heart of Imam of Time, Hazrat Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif, by reciting
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Last but not least, let's remember all of the marhumin and marhumat, all of the beloved ones of yourself, and inshallah the community and mu'mineen and mu'minat. Inshallah we can include them with the majlis and include them with the sawab of the majlis by reciting your fifth and loudest of salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this bounty and for this blessing to be able to gather around on the night such as the night of Qadr, and a night which is known and has the name of Ameer al Momineen Ali ibn Abi Talib hacked on it. So what a better topic to talk about. In fact, if you go back and if you look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sort of, in a sense, put in a puzzle of all of the 3 nights of Qadr, because always this question comes up to the mind that, hey, how come we have 3 nights? How come the reality of the night of Qadr was not mentioned? How come, like from all of the imams that we have, all of the ahadith that we have, all of the narrations that we have, they don't specify which one is the actual night of Qadr. There are some hints, which, they only focus on, or mainly focus on the night of 23rd. But how come this has not been mentioned clear? That's one question. Number 2, that which we started on the last night discussion, was the fact that now that alhamdulillah we are experiencing a night of Qadr, how can we a little bit more increase the amount of benefits that inshallah we can receive on such a night? So in order to answer this one, again, remember just like the topic of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Arhamur Rahimin, how He's the most kind, as in the hadith that we have, He says if you take the entire amount of love and passion and caring and kindness that it is in this world, take whatever amount of love and passion you can find, put all of them, combine all of them, add all of them together, summarize all of them, whatever number that may come down to, right? Take all of the mothers, the love that they have towards their kids. Take all of the fathers, the love that they have towards their children. Take all of the siblings, the love that they have towards each other, right? Add all of it. Becomes only 1 portion out of the 100% of the love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. So 99% of the love which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been even distributed among the earth. So what is this 99% more? We're constantly battling in a realm that's only only 1% of the the Rahmaniyat of Allah as we speak. Where is the rest of it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'uzam billah, is not stingy. He's not he's not holding back. So where is this 99% of the Rahmaniyat? How can I, be able to access it? How can I be able to benefit from that? So following this same pattern of discussion, we started talking about why do we even have a night of Qadr? Why do we even have the month of Ramadan? Why do we have to have a religion? Why do we have to have a religion named as Islam? As I was mentioning again, it is the greatest bounty that we are blessed to be born within a Muslim environment. A lot of times we may take this stuff for granted and just say because our parents were Muslims, I'm a Muslim. Because they were Shia, I'm a Shia. Because they followed the path of the Ahlul Bayt, I'm following the path of the Ahlul Bayt. But that's not what the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt actually tell us. You start from fiqh, jurisprudence, you pick up the Tawzi al-Masail, the book that we use for our jurisprudential acts. The very first thing is written there before you even get to the rulings is one major question. It says for every person who wants to do taqleed, it is wajib to do what first? To go and do his research. Before taqleed, there must be a research. This is a unique character of Islam. It doesn't tell us to mainly obey. It tells us to first go and do a research, do your studies, find out what is real, what is not real. Once you reach that stage of certainty, then Bismillah, right? So in the stage of research, what does it talk about? It talks about the whole stage of the mind that we have. We refer to it as ideology, we refer to it as theology, the ilm al-kalam, ilm al-falsafa, any ilm that you want to name it, right? And you look at the ayahs of the Quran. How many ayahs in the Quran? 6,600 and اختلف العلماء, right? Depends if you count Bismillah as part of the ayah, if there are different numbering, if you want to say. But 6,000 plus. So how many of those ayahs are about jurisprudence? How many of those ayahs are about fiqh? Less than 1/3. That gives you about what, 2,000 something? What about the remaining 4,000 of the ayahs of the Quran? What do they talk about? We finish the Quran every day. We read the Quran every day. We start reciting juz by juz every day, especially in the month of Ramadan. Why? It has so many sawab. One ayah equals to doing the finishing of the Quran from cover to cover, Khatm al-Quran. Okay? The sawab is there. I'm not talking about the sawab. But I'm talking about if you know the concept of Allah being Arhamur Rahimeen. Yes? And at the same time, He obligates some specific actions upon us. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم. كتب عليكم, right? This is what he says, the sigha amr. Sigha amr means it indicates obligation. It makes it wajib. It's been prescribed for you by Allah. Hence, it is wajib. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make something wajib upon us? He's not stingy. Rather, He's Arhamur Rahimeen. Why would He mandate something among us? Right? There has to be some sort of a benefit here because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most wise. He's the most knowledgeable one. He's the most powerful one. Not a single thing we do has absolutely no benefit for Him. Whether we be Muslim or non-Muslim has absolutely no benefit for Him. If the entire population of the world be Muslim, has no gain for Him. If the entire population of the world be non-Muslim, has no gain for Him. Yes? He's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the creator. He is the He's the Almighty, as we say. No matter if the entire world, the 7 billion people, if everybody worships Him on the night of Qadr, would not give Him anything. So when He says kutiba alaykum, when He makes this mandatory, when He makes something wajib, what does that has to do with us? What am I trying to get into? The night of Qadr, the 3 nights that we have and we're approaching, inshallah. This is the perfect timing to go back and sort of have this review of what the meaning of religion is and how important this is, especially as we approach what we refer to as Akhir al-Zaman, the end times. What are some of qualities of the end times? The major quality of the end times is the fact that the haqq and batil, they become mixed. Right? They become so confusing. They become so mixed and you can mix and match with each other that it will become very difficult to understand which side or which person, which school of thought, which way of thinking is actually going according to the truth. And it's not crisp and clear. It's not like we say, okay, you know, when everything gets presented to us, we'll present it in like a solid format. It's always a mixture. So we need that distinguishing, like let's say, faculty, or that distinguishing like part within us, which we can differentiate between what percentage of that is truth, what percentage of that is falsehood. So on the night of Qadr, as we talk about like, you know, the provisioning, as we talk about like, you know, the night in which one deed equals to more than 1,000 months, more than 1,000 months, right? What should we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And why do we repeat asking it? And why is it coincidence with the Shahadat of Ameer al Momineen? You have to put the dots together. If you say the purpose of our creation is what? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. If you say the purpose of creation of all human and jinn is nothing except to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the same time, we know this sense of worshipness, right, has no benefit for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does this worship bring for me and you? Within the topic of worship, it has the topic of kamal, the topic of perfection. If we understand this, then we understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something wajib upon us. When we understand why He makes it wajib, we will not take it for lightly. We will not take it for like a minimum amount of work. A lot of times when it comes to the wajibat, we tend to just do it to get it over with. For example, salat, right? As-salat, as-salat. In the last will of Ameer al Momineen, Allah, Allah, for salat. In the last stages of the beautiful life of Abu Abdullah was saying, what did he ask for? The only time that he literally took his honor and respect, that he put it aside, and he asked something from the enemies. When was that? On the night before Ashura. Why did he ask for one extra night? Why? Inni uhibbu salat. I love salat. I love praying. Right? Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam, when he prayed, when the Riwayas record the stage in which he was praying, it's fascinating. Imagine praying and you're in the sajda, the entire house caught on fire. The entire house on fire. You're on sajda. They put out the fire, right? Everything is controlled now. As they're like coming out to sit down and finally say, Alhamdulillah, we were able to control the fire. They see that Imam Sajjad still on the sajda. When he gets up, they ask him, like, you know, weren't you informed about the fire and all of people running around and like trying to put down the fire, bring water, take that, take this, right? Imam Sajjad says no. Another incident, Imam is praying, his son is playing, he falls down, he breaks his hand. Shouting, cries, women coming, right? They're trying to fix, they bring doctor, they put the cast on, they put the, like, to fix the arm. All of this happens, the doctor goes, they put a cast on the, you know, the kid's arm. Imam finishes salat. He looks and says, what happened to his hand? Is that the very same salat that we have? Ameer al Momineen, Mawla al Mawali, numerous cases. It's numerous cases, it's not only one case that we usually hear about. You know, that's the remaining of the arrows. Ameer al Momineen's body, mashallah, like Mawla al Mawali, is like as if you can say it's full of different wounds. In the Battle of Uhud, as he describes himself, and I'm going from one topic to another topic, as he describes himself from the Battle of Uhud, he says, I took at least 70 plus wounds in front of Nabi Rasulullah on one battle, and that's Battle of Uhud. And he says, some of the marks are still on my body, and he shows those marks to that the Jewish person who comes and asks Ameer al Momineen the very critical, like in a question. The story is long, but if you go to the book of Shaykh al-Saduq, the Khisal of Shaykh al-Saduq, on the chapter in which he talks about the 7 items, he has a very lengthy hadith. It's an interesting hadith. If you go home, you can actually look it up. A Jewish person comes to Ameer al Momineen and he asks a very direct question. He says, oh Ali, you claim to be the wasi of Nabi Rasulullah. He says, yes. He says, in our religion, we've been taught that the wasi has a sign. What is your sign? Ameer al Momineen looks at him. He says, I will tell you, but with one condition. if I tell you and you acknowledge it, you have to embrace Islam. He says, yes, if you tell me the correct thing and I know the answer already, right? I will embrace Islam. Ameer al Momineen says, like, and he takes the oath by his own book of the Jewish person. He says, every Vasi has a sign, and every Vasi has this test, if you want to say. They will be tested 7 times at the time of the prophet in which he was living. But for me, this 7 times have becomes double. So I have to be tested 7 times at the time of Nabi Rasulullah and 7 times after the time of Nabi Rasulullah. The Jewish person says, yes, you said the correct thing, but you have to tell me the details, because I even know all of those 14 cases. So Ameer al Momineen says, if that's the case, let's go. I cannot tell you here, and they're in the masjid. He says, take my hand, we go outside, I'll tell you on the way. As they're about to get up and go, the companions, close companions, they say, oh Ali, where are you going? You started talking about this very critical point, the sign of Messiah, the sign of who's the Wasi, and all of a sudden you take off. You want to learn about this stuff too. And among those companions are great companions, such as Malik Ashtar. He's the one who actually raises the question. Ameer al Momineen says, no, this is too much for you guys to bear. If I start talking about this stuff, a lot of you guys may not be able to tolerate the truth about the history. Malik Ashtar insists. He says, no, Ameer al Momineen, we have this love and passion for you. Whatever you say, we follow. Inform us, acknowledge us, teach us. So Ameer al Momineen starts to count. Among the tests that he starts to talk about with this Jewish person, one of them is the tragedy of Battle of Uhud, of that how everybody's gone and it's only Ameer al Momineen who's protecting the life of Nabi Rasulullah, while everybody else who claims to be Muslims have already gone back towards the city of Medina, claiming that Nabi Rasulullah is dead already. So there Ameer al Momineen says, while everybody was gone, I stood by and at least I took 70 plus wounds right in front of Nabi Rasulullah. Then he lifts up his shirt and he shows the signs of the wounds to this Jewish person. So what's all of this about, and why do we focus on it on the night of Qadr? Remember the purpose. What was the purpose? مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجَنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And we said from this ubudiyya, from this worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah does not gain anything. So it is only us who's constantly gaining and gaining more towards that perfection, towards that kamal. If we do not understand what perfection and kamal means, following the acts of religion becomes redundant, becomes something out of habit, becomes part of the culture, becomes like a ritual without meaning. The question that I raised last time, the person who had only 3 hours left in his life, remember that one, right? And the challenge of creating an AI who's constantly doing good deeds. I'm creating an AI who's constantly recites Noha for Ameer al Momineen, even more, recites Noha for Abu Abdullah Hussein. Perhaps I put some chemical reaction within the AI and he's constantly crying for Abu Abdullah Hussein. So technically he should be going to heaven. But would he be going to the heaven? It's an AI. We said there is this fundamental condition, and that is ma'arifah. If there is no ma'arifah, as if the deeds are no good, as if the deeds would not count. So we have to seek that ma'arifah. And again, look at the deeds for tonight and for the night of 23rd. One of the deeds is to form halaqah, to sit down and study. Study, not to study in school, no, study and gain that ma'arifah. That what am I doing on the night of Qadr? I'm commemorating for the Shahadat of Ameer al Momineen. What am I supposed to be gaining here? If it's only commemoration, so many people have commemorated for Ameer al Momineen. I'll give you 2 examples. The 2 examples that are the worst enemies of Ameer al Momineen, the very same 2 cried for Ameer al Momineen on his Shahadat. Which 2? Muawiyah and Amras. Muawiyah breaks down to cries when the news of Shahada of Ameer al Momineen is given to him, and he's wounded because the strike, when it happens, at the same time they were attacking Muawiyah as well. So when the news of Shahada of Ameer al Momineen is reached Muawiyah, he's on his whatever throne or the top, as you say. He drops himself down on the floor. He removes his helmet, whatever cap he had. He does a sajda of shukr. When he comes back up, the Ravi says his face was covered with tears, crying for Amir al Momineen, because they know what Amir al Momineen means. Second one is Amr As. He cries out so much and he starts to like actually recite a poem right there in favor of Amir al Momineen. And what does he says? He says, "It is my honor for history of mankind to remember me as a person who fought against someone such as Amir al Momineen." So you see, they have actually, you can say that it's more than a cry. They're talking out of ma'rifah. They know who's Amir al Momineen, and they've cried. So only commemoration for Amir al Momineen is not enough. On the night of Badr, we have to seek something else and alongside of the commemoration for Amir al Momineen. But the pathway to it, yes, the pathway to it, it goes through the vilayat of Amir al Momineen. And that's why, like, we see that, as if like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to force, by our own action, the pathway for all of us to go through the vilayat of Amir al Momineen in the nights of Qadr. So we practice it on the night of 19 by talking about the night of Zarba. We practice it again on the night of 21st by talking of the Shahada. Why? For the ultimate goal, which will be on the night of 23rd. The topic of vilayat and the topic of Tawheed, they're inseparable. We cannot take one without the other. As if like there are two sides of a coin. One represents the other one. They talk about the true image, the true like reflection, if you want to say. So how would that be able to help me again as a Muslim, as a Shia, as a follower of the school of the Ahlul Bayt? The topic of vilayat is not something just to be proven. Sometimes make this like question. Imagine if you prove the vilayat of Amir al Momineen and the wasayat of Amir al Momineen to every single human being who's alive on this planet Earth. Accept it, accept it. Would that be the end of the story? That would be just the beginning of the story. Yes? So all of this discussion that we have, which is needed, which is necessary, and we have to continue it, about the vilayat of Amir al Momineen, about the wasayat of Amir al Momineen, about the status of the Amir al Momineen, it is to what? It is to like indirectly, if I want to say, to make that connection between our nafs to the nafs of Amir al Momineen. Once that connection is there, then we start to gain benefits. Because it's not like our actions will be anywhere close to Amir al Momineen. Our salat, nowhere close to their salat. Our fasting, nowhere close to their fasting. Our hajj, nowhere close to their hajj. Our like good works or good deeds for the sake of the public, nowhere close to what our imams or Amir al Momineen has done. If you want to write down all of the public work of Amir al Momineen, you can write books and books and books. It's very hard for someone who has so much, at the same time, at the end of the day, would not be able to provide the basics for his own family. It's not that he didn't have. Sometimes this question is mentioned. And sometimes actually Amir al Momineen was mocked at his own time. One time, those two Talha and Zubayr, they make this mockery about Amir al Momineen. As if like they're counting their like wealth and they're counting their bank statements. And they say, Ali's the one who doesn't have any money. Don't even talk about him. He's a nobody at that time. The news reaches Amir al Momineen. What does he do? He says, okay. He says to his farmers, go ahead and cash out my 1 day worth of products. They start bringing the dirham and dinar, dirham and dinar, dirham and dinar, dirham and dinar. It piles up so much, it becomes like almost like a hill full of dirham and dinars. Amir al Momineen says, go and tell those two to come and look. They inform that those two, they come. Amir al Momineen says, look, all of this, I have no partner in this. It's a sole ownership, one ownership. But all of this, it's a waqf, endowment for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the difference between how Amir al Momineen perceives the world. Remember the topic of the 99% versus 1%? And how, for example, other people perceive the world. MashaAllah. So when it comes to that investment, mashallah, we're all business people, right? We always like to gain something more. Why do we go to school? Why do we advance our education? Why do we get a better job? Why do we try to find different or new avenues for our business, marketing and strategy and so on and so forth? We always try to gain more. It's within our nature. But this gaining more sometimes it only is not going out of that 1% circle. What's a pathway towards that 99% circle? That pathway is to follow the footstep of Ameer al Momineen. So again, we look at his life, whether from his generosity, he can write books. You look at his passion and compassion towards the kids and orphans, we can write books. We look at his courage, we can write books. We look at his justice, we can write books. This sense of comprehensive attributes and qualities, that by itself is unique. Usually, when people become good in one thing, they only become good at that specific thing. And by becoming good at that specific act or quality, they miss the opposite qualities. Like if someone is very brave, usually, as we're speaking, they have less of a mercy. When they're when they're merciless, they become brave. They find that courage. We cannot, and usually the warriors, the fighters, they are very brave, they're very strong, but at the same time, absolutely no sense of mercy. But when it comes to the school of the Ahlul Bayt, it's courage, it's shaja'ah, at the same time, doesn't go away from the just. How so? The comparison between Malik Ashtar and Ameer al Momineen in the Battle of Siffin. Now, Malik Ashtar, great companion, mashallah, greatest of the greatest of companions. People like me would not become like a little pinky of Malik Ashtar, right? So in Battle of Siffin, at the end of the battle, he comes to Ameer al Momineen and he starts to run his numbers by Ameer al Momineen. You can sense the competition. Malik Ashtar, mashallah, is the commander of Ameer al Momineen. So imagine. He comes and he's proud of what he has done. And he says, "Oh, Ameer al Momineen, how many have you killed in this battle?" Ameer al Momineen says, X amount of number. Malik Ashtar probably says, X amount of number, that's it. I have killed, Y amount of number. Double, triple, quadruple, more of Ameer al Momineen. I see he's feeling good about himself. Finally, I was able to beat Ameer al Momineen in one thing, in killing people in the battlefield. And he's all good about it. He's trying to brag about it to different companions. Hey, I finally beat Ameer al Momineen. Ameer al Momineen smiles at him. He says, "No, Malik, come back, come back. Let me tell you something more." He says, "Yes, it's Malik. You fight so well and you fight with courage. You have so much shaja'ah. When you start the battle, all you see is the end result. What's the end result? The flag of the enemy. You start killing from one end or the beginning all the way to the end. Whoever comes in front of you, they either be killed or they run away." Malik says, "Well, that's the way the battle goes, right?" And Moses says, "No. When I fight, what do? As I'm about to strike down and the enemy comes to me, the sword is coming down, the sword is about to hit him, I look at him. I don't only see his face. I see his next generation. I see his second generation. I see his third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation, sixth. I see up to 7 generation of him. The sword is coming down, right? If there is one person within his 7 generation of children that has a slight potential of being guided, my sword doesn't kill him, wounds him, pushes him aside. Maybe it somehow injures him, so he would discontinue the battle. It would not kill him. Courage, perfection, at the same time just and merciful. The very same Ameer al Momineen, when he sees an orphan cry, he gets down and he cries with an orphan.
MashaAllah.
So on the night of his Shahada, before we actually get to the Masa'ib, let's talk about the city of Kufa. Let's talk about how devastating was it for all of the Kufans to lose Ameer al Momineen. As I said, Ameer al Momineen is not, and perhaps that's why his Shahada took more than 1 day. It took literally 3 days. Because the very same people who betrayed him so much, the very same people could not bear losing Ameer al Momineen. When the enemies of Ameer al Momineen cry, imagine how would the people of Kufa behave when the news of the Zarbat, when the news of the strike on Amir al Momineen's head spread out in the entire city of Kufa. There is no more sound of the azan of Amir al Momineen. There is no more like Amir al Momineen walking among the alleys, having his whip on the shoulder and like shouting at the people, at the business people that owe business. People first go learn your rulings, then come and like do your business. There is no more Amir al Momineen sitting at the Dakat al Ghaza or like the Dakat al Tasht. There is no more Amir al Momineen sitting like to run his judgment. There is no more Amir al Momineen that anybody who has a problem they can run into. Just to give you a difference, look at the time of the previous, or whoever becomes in position of the ruler, and the time of Amir al Momineen. In what kind of a system do we see the one who has committed a crime goes and turns himself in and asks for a punishment voluntarily? In what type of a system do we see this? At the time of Amir al Momineen, again, numerous cases. People would just come voluntarily and they would say, "Oh Ali, run had on us. We have done a crime, you have committed a sin, punish us, clean us, accept our repentance," basically. In what type of a system do we see this? One of them is actually a black servant. He comes to Amir al Momineen and says, "Oh Ali, I have stolen something. Run the had, run the punishment on me." Amir al Momineen says, "Go and think again, maybe you were daydreaming. Go and come back later, I'm busy." He goes, he comes back again, "Oh Ali, I have stolen." Amir al Momineen again for the second time he pushes it away. He says, maybe mistaken, maybe it was something you borrowed and you put it back. Trying to give him chance, right? He goes and comes back on the third day, "Oh Amir al Momineen, I have stolen something." Amir al Momineen says, "What's your bayyana? What's your shahid? What's your witness? What's your proof?" He says, "This is the proof, this is the case, this is the time. Run the punishment on me." He's coming voluntarily. He hasn't sent anybody for him, right? Amir al Momineen says, "Okay, run the punishment." They cut out his arm from the wrist, from the four fingers. They put the four fingers in a cloth, they give it to him, and he goes off. As he goes off, one of the hypocrites, waiting for the perfect opportunity, probably with a camera, right? He's recording it, and he goes up to him. And he says, "What happened? Who cut off your fingers?" And he's trying to catch a moment against Amir al Momineen. The very same black servant whose fingers are cut off, this is still fresh wound, right? Turns around, looks at him. He says, "Do you know who has cut off my fingers? The lion of Quraysh, the Kabsh of Hijaz, the only one that people like you cannot even name him, cannot tolerate his name, has done this to me." And he's reciting eulogy for Amir al Momineen. He's reciting poems for Amir al Momineen. Amir al Momineen has cut off his fingers. The same hypocrite goes to Amir al Momineen and he says, what's going on here? You run punishment on people, the very same people praise you. It's unique. Then Amir al Momineen says, the way we are the Ahlul Bayt, the way our the Vilayat is, no matter how much good we give to those who do not have our Vilayat, they will never change. And no matter how much difficulty and severeness we bring upon those who accept our Vilayat, they will never change. Then he tells to Imam al-Hassan, "My dear son, go and bring your uncle." He refers to the black servant as the uncle. Imam al-Hassan goes and bring him. Amir al Momineen first calms him down, and then he does the dua on his hand. He puts the fingers back, he removes the cloth, the hand is back to normal. It's one example of Amir al Momineen. Every aspect we look at him, perfection. Every aspect we look at him, fazilah. Every aspect we look at him, and nothing from himself. Nothing to say that, okay, this is what I have accomplished. This is nothing to brag about. Constantly, seeing himself at the service of the public. Constantly, talking about the food that he had. When the person comes and he says, "Do you have any food?" There's a farmer digging a well. He says, "Yes, there is this, there's sofra over there. There's some food inside." He opens up the food. He says that it's like a dry piece of bread. First, he tries to bite it. He says, "No, it's not. You cannot bite it." He tries to break it with hand. He cannot break the bread with the hand. He uses the kneecap to break the bread into pieces. He cannot break. He says, what are you eating? Are you trying to insult me? Amir al Momineen says, okay, if you cannot eat this, go inside of the city, and he gives the address. He says, go to this house. There's mashallah good food over there. The guy goes in the town. He goes to the address. He walks in. It says, there's this huge sofra from one side of the house to the other side. People are sitting, they're eating, they're getting up. Another group of people are coming, they're sitting and eating, and constantly people are changing. He sits down, he starts to eat. As he's about eating, he takes one bite for himself, and he takes another bite, he puts it in his pocket. He eats one bite, puts one in pocket. Takes one, he puts one in pocket. Imam al-Hassan is looking and he says, brother, what you doing? If you want to eat, you're more than welcome. You don't have to put it in your pocket. There's plenty for anybody. Whoever wants to eat, just tell them to come here and eat. They're our guests. He says, no. The guy I'm talking about, he's working outside on the outskirt of the city. He's like a farmer. He's like an older guy. I feel bad for him because first he was going to give his own food to me, and I couldn't even break it with my knee. I'm taking some food for him. Imam Hassan sits down. He says, do you know who that man is? That man is my father, the true owner of this entire sofra that you see. One Ameer al Momineen. So on this night in the city of Kufa, as if everybody has become orphan, whether men, women, children, whether having parents, no parents, every single person has become orphan. Inshallah, tonight we can make that connection and that sincere connection to the heart of Ameer al Momineen, and we can ask him that, oh Ameer al Momineen, all we do and all we can is to gather around and talk about your fazail. For the very same sake of talking about your fazail, oh Ameer al Momineen, take our hand and inshallah, and give us that perfection in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has embedded for all of us. Sallallahu alayka ya Abul Hasan, ya Ameer al Momineen, ya Ali ibn Abi Talib. As we go along the sides of the alleys of Kufa, what's happening today? When we go to the city of Kufa, we see people constantly walking back and forth as if there is this big stress going around the city. They have brought a physician, they have brought a doctor to the house of Ameer al Momineen. The doctor goes inside, he looks at Ameer al Momineen. He says, go ahead and kill fresh sheep for me. They slaughter a sheep for him. He takes the long and he takes this wain from the long of the sheep. He places in the head of Ameer al Momineen. He blows in the wain. The wain comes up to the brain of Ameer al Momineen. He removes it. He looks at it. He says, oh, Haman. He calls to Imam al-Hassan. He says, he's as good as gone. He says, why? He says, because this wound is not only a wound. If it was a wound, I would have sealed it. But this wound is poisoned. The poison has reached the brain of your father. The way it's going to sign the effects of it, the symptoms of it, is that your father is going to always feel hot. He will be sweating so much. He will faint out here and there, and then he's going to finish. Imam al-Hassan says, is there anything we can do? The doctor says, only one thing is going to ease his pain. What is it? Give him milk. The milk is going to reduce the pain. It's going to reduce the temperature. The word gets out that Ameer al Momineen's cure could be possibly milk. Now you can imagine the entire Kufa. Everybody's running. Everybody's trying to get a bowl of milk. The little kids, the women, the men, the family, doesn't matter. Everybody's taking a bowl of milk and they're going to the house of Ameer al Momineen. And Ameer al Momineen, constantly sweating. He faints out, he comes through, and he faints out, and he comes through. Finally, he says, oh, Hassan, open the door for everybody to come in. I have to say my farewell to the people. So people start to come into the house of Ameer al Momineen group by group. Group by group, group by group, then companions start to come. Asbagh ibn Nabata comes in. As he comes in, he says, when I went inside, when I saw the room where Ameer al Momineen was sitting, I looked at the face of Ameer al Momineen and I could not tell the difference between which of the face of Ameer al Momineen or the color of his turban. Which one was more yellow? Which one was more pale? So much blood has gone from the body of Ameer al Momineen. So I started crying so hard right there. Ameer al Momineen opened his eyes. He looked at me in the eyes and says, oh, Asbab, come closer, come closer. I went closer.
Amir al Momineen told me, "Oh Asbagh, what is this?" And he pointed towards his hand. I looked at his hand. He says, "This is your hand, Amir al Momineen." "What do you mean?" He says, "No, what do you remember from this hand?" He says, "This is the very same hand that opened the door of Khaybar." Amir al Momineen says, "The very same hand, I cannot lift it up to my shoulder." And he tried, and the hand was falling down on the ground. Asbagh started crying more for Amir al Mu'minin one more time. Imam says, "Asbagh, don't cry. This is the heaven for me. I'm finally getting the promise that I have." There came another companion, and he's hitting the soil on his face and head, and he's approaching Amir al Mu'minin. He says, "Oh Ali, after you, there is no world for me. Oh Ali, if you go, who am I going to go to? Oh Ali, if you leave us, where am I going to go to?" They come one by one. They say their farewell. Amir al Mu'minin answers their question. At some point, Amir al Mu'minin faints for a longer time. The shout goes up. When he comes through, he tells Imam al Hassan, he says, "If you can't ask the people to leave nicely, oh, my Hassan is getting close." Imam al Hassan asks everybody to leave the house. They close the door. Amir al Mu'minin tells the Ahlul Bayt, "Everybody get close to me." He starts looking at all of the members of Bani Hashim, and he says his last farewell. He says, "Alaykum minni as-salam." This is my last salam to you. He starts to make his will to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, to every single person within the Bani Hashim. He starts to make his last will. He fades out again for some time. He comes out back up and he looks at Imam al-Hassan. He sees that the eyes of Imam al-Hassan has already become injured because of so much crying for Amir al-Mu'minin. He says, "Oh my Hassan, why are you crying for me? You know that this is the path of heaven for you. Don't cry for me." "Oh Hassan, be patient. After me, the very same people, they're gonna run fitna on you. They're gonna have calamities on you. Oh Hassan, upon you be patient and sabr and sabr and sabr." Amir al-Mu'minin looks to the right. He says, "Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Oh my Hussein Jah." And Imam al-Hussein is crying so much, they say his eyes was already bloated out. Amir al-Mu'minin says, "Oh Hussein, you're crying for me? Oh Hussein John, let me give you a piece of news. Yo Hussein, you just have to wait. Soon, this ummah, this nation, very sad people, they will line and lines of people just to try to get to you and get a piece of you. Oh Hussein, they will murder you while being a Chan." Then he looks around, he sees Sayyida Zainab. "Oh my daughter." I don't know how would she say that, how would he say that as well to his own daughter, Sayyida Zainab, Masaya. Perhaps saying something in whisper, I'm not sure, Allahu Alam, but whatever he says, Sayyida Zainab keeps on nodding and nodding and nodding as if there is a promise to fulfill for Sayyida Zainab. And Amir al-Mu'minin keeps on pointing towards Imam al-Hussein and says, "Oh Zainab, you and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein." Perhaps on the corner he sees Abul Fazl Abbas standing on the side. He's out of respect, he's not getting too close to Amir al-Mu'minin. But Amir al-Mu'minin said, "My Abbas, oh my Abbas, come to me." He looks at the hands of Abbas. One last look. As they're sitting down, Amir al-Mu'minin keeps on making his last will. He says, "Oh Hassan Jan, when my soul departs my body, make sure you do your ghusl and kafan. Use the very same hanout which Nabi Rasulullah used, which Sayyida Fatima used. There is 1/3 of it left. Use it for my body. Place my body on this piece of wood. And as you and your brother Imam al-Hussein stand on the back of it, leave the front of it. You can see the wood will stand up by itself. Jibreel and Mikael will be leading that piece of wood to where my grave will be. You guys follow their direction. Once it lands down, oh Hassan, all you have to do is do one shovel on the ground. You will find a grave there ready by my ancestor Nabi Nuh. He has already made a grave for me, oh, prepared. Put my body in the grave, oh Hassan. Put the sand of Lahad, put the stone of Lahad over my body. Take a look again. My body will disappear. Don't get amazed. You will see my body getting close to the body of Nabi Rasulullah, because that's what Allah has promised every Wasi, that if he passes on the east and the Prophet of Islam will be on the west, he will rejoin the bodies for some time and they will go back to their graves after some time. Oh Hassan, take a look at this. Cover the soil and do not tell anybody the whereabout of my grave. Look at the Mazlum here. Again, Ameer al Momineen faints out. He comes back up. He starts saying, Bismillah, wa billah, wa ala millat Rasulullah. Imam al Hussein says, oh Baba Jan, as if like you're talking out of hope, what's going on? Ameer al Momineen says, 2 days ago, I had a dream of Nabi Rasulullah. On that dream, I complained to him about this nation. I told him these people have betrayed me. Nabi Rasulullah told me to curse upon them. Ameer al Momineen said, I did the curse, and Nabi Rasulullah told me in 3 days you will join us. Oh Abu Abdullah, this is the 3rd day, and now I am seeing Nabi Rasulullah. Now I'm saying Hamza, Sayyid al-Shahada. Now I'm saying Ja'far. They all have come to welcome me. And they keep on telling me, haste, 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 Ajjal Khudumak. Haste and run towards us. Oh Ameer al-Mu'mineen, we've been eager to see you. Oh Ameer al-Mu'mineen. Then Ameer al Momineen stretches his hands and his legs towards the Qibla. As he's facing the Qibla, he recites out, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. And there goes Ameer al Momineen once and for all. We say, oh Ameer al Momineen, as if this is devastating it is to lose and mourn for your Shahada. But at least you had here the whole companions. You had the whole of Bani Hashim. You look to your right, you saw Imam al-Hassan. You look to your left, you saw Imam al-Hussein. You look to your right arm, you saw Sayyid Zainab. You look to the left, you see other Bani Hashim. But oh Ameer al Momineen, let me tell you about the 10th of Muharram, the day of Ashura. Your son Imam al Hussein Anzul Janah is looking to the right, there is nobody there. He's looking to the left, nobody's left. He's looking to the Batlagah, all of he sees is piles of body. He looks to the sky, he says, Hal min Zab ben Yazabban Haramullah. Hal min Nasir Yansurana. Is there anybody who can help us? Then he starts calling the companions. They say, oh Muslim, oh Habib, oh Zuhair, where are you? How come when I call your name you do not answer me? Is it because that you are not in this world? Or is it because that you have removed your bayah? There comes the shout from the women from the Khaymegah. There comes the sound of a little baby, and he's crying out to Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein goes back to the Khaymegah, tells Sayyid Zainab, Nabilani Atifla Sagir, give me my little baby. She brings out Ali al-Asghar. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون ماتم علي.
शाहिद बरगीर का ये जनाजा है अली का, ये जनाजा है अली का, शाहिद बरगीर का, ये जनाजा है अली का, ये रुखसत हो रहा है शबरो शबीर का, ये जनाजा है अली का, ये जनाजा है अली का, शाहिद बरगीर का, ये जनाजा है अली का, ये जनाजा है अली का, शाहिद बरगीर का, ये जनाजा है अली का। या रसूल अल्लाह ये जिब्रील ने रोकर कहा, کہا ایک حلقہ اور ٹوٹا نور کی زنجیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا نظرہ میں جانے علی کو کیا خیال آتا رہا نظرہ میں جانے علی کو کیا خیال آتا رہا کیا خیال آتا رہا وہ کبھی زینب کا دیکھا اور کبھی شبیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا بیٹیوں کو دیکھتے ہیں اور روتے ہیں علی بیٹیوں کو دیکھتے ہیں اور روتے ہیں علی ہائے روتے ہیں علی ہائے وہ ظالم تصور شام کی تشہیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا باپ کی میت سے زینب کال پٹنا بار بار باپ کی میت سے زینب کال پٹنا بار بار پٹنا بار بار دل ہٹا دیتا کرونا شاہ کی ہمشیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا چھوٹے سے عباس بھی روتے ہیں سر کو پیٹ کر چھوٹے سے عباس بھی روتے ہیں سر کو پیٹ کر آئے سر کو پیٹ کر بچپنا عباس کا ہے زخم دل پر تیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا چھوٹے سے عباس بھی روتے ہیں سر کو پیٹ کر چھوٹے سے عباس بھی روتے ہیں سر کو پیٹ کر سر کو پیٹ کر بچپنا عباس کا زخم دل پر تیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا شاہ خیبر گیر کا یہ جنازہ ہے علی کا یہاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں 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 منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں ارے وہ عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں ارے وہ عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی احمد کے بعد زہرا اب چل پڑے علی بھی آثار پنج تن کے ظالم مٹا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں احمد کے بعد سہارا اب چل پڑے علی بھی احمد کے بعد سہارا اب چل پڑے علی بھی آثار پنج تن کے ظالم مٹا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں ارے وہ عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا سجدے میں جو علی پر ہائے ظلم ڈھا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا. کچھ تو لحاظ کرتے داماد مصطفیٰ کا. سجدے میں جو علی پر لائے ظلم ڈھا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. عرب و عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. برسیں گے تیر پیغام تابوت پر حسن کے. برسیں گے تیر پیغام تابوت پر حسن کے. مولا یہ وقت آخر رو کر بتا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. برسیں گے تیر پیغام تابوت پر حسن کے. برسیں گے تیر پیغام تابوت پر حسن کے. مولا یہ وقت رو کر بتا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. عرب و عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں. تو سیکھ گھر میں چلنا وہ شام کا سفر ہے. تو سیکھ گھر میں چلنا وہ شام کا سفر ہے. تیری قید کے زمانے نزدیک آ رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں. تو سیکھ گھر میں چلنا وہ شام کا سفر ہے. تو سیکھ گھر میں چلنا وہ شام کا سفر ہے. تیری قید کے مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں۔ بالوں کو کھول دینا کلثوم رو رہی ہے، بالوں کو کھول دینا کلثوم رو رہی ہے، گھر گھر چراغ کوبے شامی جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں۔ بالوں کو کھول دینا کلثوم رو رہی ہے، بالوں کو کھول دینا کلثوم رو رہی ہے، گھر گھر چراغ کوبے شامی جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں۔ نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، سادات کے گھروں کو اب تک جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں۔ نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، نکلے ہیں آگ لے کر کچھ لوگ سقیفہ سے، سادات کے گھروں کو اب تک جلا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، ہر وہ عجم کے مولا دنیا سے جا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا 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 رہے ہیں، درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں۔ جبریل رو کے بولے حیدر کے جنازے پر، جبریل رو کے بولے حیدر کے جنازے پر، سردار انبیاء کے غم کھائے جا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں۔ جبریل رو کے بولے حیدر کے جنازے پر، جبریل رو کے بولے حیدر کے جنازے پر، سردار انبیاء کے غم کھائے جا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں، بے درد مسلمان تو خوشیاں منا رہے ہیں۔ کہ علی شیر خدا مارے گئے، خاکڑاؤ کہ علی شیر خدا مارے گئے، بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو، بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو، بھنگڑاؤ کہ علی شیر خدا مارے گئے، بھنگڑاؤ کہ علی شیر خدا مارے گئے، بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو، بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار 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 کا ماتم کر لو، مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو، مل کے جبریل کے استاد کا پرسا دے دو، صاحب تلوار کا ماتم کر لو، صاحب تلوار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو، مومنو حیدر کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو جس کے در سے نہ گیا خالی سوالی کوئی جس کے در سے نہ گیا خالی سوالی کوئی دار کا ماتم کر لو سخی صاحب دار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار 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 کا ماتم کر لو بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو بازوئے احمد مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار 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 کا ماتم کر لو اپنے کاٹے کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیری اپنے کاٹے کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیری کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیرے اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جامے شیرے کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار 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 کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے کرار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو ہے در کرار کا ماتم کر لو ہر ولی کے کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو اے میرے آقا میرے سردار کا ماتم کر لو میرے آقا میرے سرکار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو طوفا ہو کر تو بلا شام سے آتی ہے صدا طوفا ہو کر تو بلا شام سے آتی ہے صدا میرے سادہ گلزار کا ماتم کر لو میرے سادہ گلزار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو یا حسین 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 عابد بیمار تھا ایک عابد بیمار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا یا حسن یا حسین 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 لاڈلی شبیر کے وہ لاڈلی سینے پہ جو شاخ پلی سینے پہ جو شاخ پلی جس کی آبارن میں جلے جس کی آبارن میں جلی وہ پتہ کے نشان مولا امام یا حسن یا حسین 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 یا حسین
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم